Good afternoon. Welcome to the Starling X project update. My name is Brent Rousel. I'm a member of the Starling X TSC.
I'm really loud. My name is Bruce Jones, and I'm one of the project leads. And we're all very pleased to have you with us today. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, just touch on some of the topics that we'll cover today. So we'll go over our release schedules, what's going to be in our upcoming release, overview of some of the candidates for future releases of Starling X. And lastly, we're certainly looking for people to join the community to help us on our journey. Okay, first off, just some background on the what is Starling X. So Starling X is a full virtualization stack that's targeted towards the edge. We have a focus on small footprint, performance, low latency, deployment and management simplification, and high availability. Being able to detect failures, rapidly diagnose, and recover the system from failures. If I look at the stack, we're based on Linux, of course. We currently run CentOS. We have on our roadmap, we are planning to support multiple OSs as well. We pull in a number of upstream packages. Examples would be Kubernetes, Ceph, Docker, libvirt, QEMU. Along with the upstream packages or projects that we pull in, we also have a number of Starling X specific services that are provided as part of the stack. Configuration management, that's responsible for the configuration of our bare metal host along with a service configuration. Host management manages the life cycle of our host hardware, so being able to monitor for failures, anomalies, and diagnose and recover the system. We also have service management, which manages the life cycle of the bare metal host processes. Software management manages the software in the system, so provides services like software updates and full software upgrades. As well, we have a component called fault management, which provides a service for publishing alarms and events that are generated by the system. And lastly, we have something called infrastructure orchestration. This provides a number of system-wide infrastructure services, such as automated upgrades and automated software updates, along with some high availability VM services that we provide.
So talk a little bit about the timeline of the project. We started this project last May, the first release of the initial code. We worked over the summer for our first release, 1.0. This was OpenStack Pike with somewhere in the neighborhood of 500 patches against it. This is our 1-year anniversary. I did not bring cake. It's not really allowed, unfortunately, but we'd certainly like to celebrate it. We made it. And we've done a lot of work to get ready for our next release that's in August. So Brent kind of downplayed the enormous amount of work that went in. The first release of Starling X was an OpenStack platform. The next release of Starling X is a Kubernetes platform that will run OpenStack running out of containers, and it's just turned the whole architecture upside down. And the community and the team just did an amazing job of pulling that together. The other thing we did is, and we'll talk about this more in a minute, we pulled 99.9% of the OpenStack patches out of the code base. So right now we are running against OpenStack master on a daily basis. Last week something broke us in OpenStack master, and 2 days later we got the fix from someone out in OpenStack, so thank you, whoever you were, if you're here. We will ship with Stein. We are very, very dependent on live migration to make some of the capabilities that Brent described worked. So we're going to pull from Nova Master and what's targeted for train, we'll pull the NUMA live migration patches down and kind of do a backport of those. But otherwise, we're running with that many OpenStack patches right now. It's a huge accomplishment for the team.
Okay, so as Bruce touched on, so our initial release of Starling X, we basically provided a hardened OpenStack platform that ran on bare metal servers. In release 2, we've done quite a significant evolution of the Starling X platform. So now Starling X is basically a cloud-native platform which runs a containerized OpenStack. And with this, we have the ability to deploy Kubernetes-only edge sites for containerized workloads. So just an overview of the release 2 architecture. So of course, we're deploying Kubernetes for the orchestration of the container workloads. We have a local replicated Docker registry that's embedded within with Starling X. We're using Docker as our container runtime, Calico as our container networking. We're leveraging Ceph RBD as our persistent storage backend for Kubernetes. We've integrated Helm. We've also integrated the Airship Armada project for the deployment and orchestration of complex applications, which would be comprised of multiple Helm charts. We've also leveraged OpenStack Keystone as well in our container platform for our local Docker registry authentication, and as well as the authentication and authorization of the Kubernetes API. Regarding OpenStack, so as I mentioned, OpenStack is now deployed as a containerized application. We do leverage OpenStack Helm projects and Armada for the deployment. As Bruce touched on, our upcoming release will be based on Stein Master. The networking backends we support with our OpenStack solution, containerized OVS, bare metal OVS DPDK for VM accelerated networking, as well as SRLV and PCI pass-through. As well, it just listed out the supported OpenStack services that Starling X Release 2 will provide.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So Starling X Release 2 OpenStack support. So as Bruce touched on in our Release 1, we were carrying quite a few out-of-tree patches. Since then, we've done a full pivot to aligning with OpenStack upstream. As I mentioned, Release 2 will be based on Stein. All OpenStack content required for Starling X is it's either available in Stein, or we have plans to address it in train. As part of that, we will be carrying a small number of patches for Nova. So we will be back, once they're available in train, we'll be backporting them to our Stein branch. But after that, we will be fully aligned with OpenStack Master.
Go ahead.
So we'll tag team on this chart. So the containerization and the OpenStack upstream alignment were two of the key items that we addressed in this upcoming release. Just wanted to touch on some of the other features. So we made some improvements in our deployment with Ansible Bootstrap deployment for our seed node. We've introduced the precision time protocol. We had a talk on that yesterday. Infrastructure, we've have introduced a build mirror, build and image hosting with a partner in Canada called Sengen. We've enabled DevStack to improve our unit test framework, and as well as user documentation.
And so the user documentation is very much a work in progress, and if you go click on it, you might find a link to a storyboard entry that says, please help us write this document. So very much still work in progress. And just to clarify, the DevStack enablement is for the special Starling X services, so they now can build and run, and it's thanks to this gentleman right here, Mr. Dean Troyer in the front row, so thank you, Dean. So one of the challenges of being somewhat like a distribution is that we owe our users updated software, and for this release, we've essentially updated almost all of the software in the system. We jumped to CentOS 7.6. Just doing that helped us resolve over 100 CVEs that have been fixed by the CentOS community. We moved up 4 Ceph releases for this release, which is a big change. In fact, we're still trying to digest that and work and finish the integration. We've actually updated OVS DPDK a couple of times. We upgraded it once, and then we figured out that the Mellanox drivers weren't working, and we had to wait for the community to upgrade, I think it was DPDK, to support the new Mellanox drivers, and then we were able to bring that all up. And then QENU and libvirt are key to our platform, and we also keep those up to date at all times. And unfortunately, this is an enormous amount of work for the community. We're very much looking for ways to automate this and improve the process.
Okay, so that gives you folks an overview of what's in our upcoming release. Just wanted to briefly touch on some future feature candidates. Extending our container platform is going to continue to be a key focus. So items such as bringing in additional container runtimes, additional device plugins, accelerated networking, and also looking at new technologies such as kubvirt to be able to run VMs without OpenStack. In terms of some other new functionality, distributed cloud, centralized management of edge sites, edge device management, and also integrating some higher level projects. You want to talk about infrastructure, Bruce?
I can, and just if you want to see EdgeX applications running in and under a Starling X cloud, visit the Intel booth tomorrow afternoon where it's running. And if you have any questions about the software, either the folks in the Intel booths or the Wind River booths are more than happy to help you.
Yeah, so this is just a sampling of some of the ideas that we have to further extend the capabilities of the Starling X platform, and certainly looking for for people to join the community to help us make this a reality.
Yeah, we can't do all this without your help. That's for sure. So let me talk in more detail about the work we've done across the broader ecosystem. So we had all this out-of-tree code, and we were desperately wanting to get rid of it. And I want to thank Brent and the team and the whole community for everything they've done. And we made a number of contributions to Helm and Airship Armada. Had a great acceptance of our changes in Horizon. The Neutron folks that were working as part of Starling X were able to get every key feature merged into Stein. We have a big effort on Nova, and we've got 12 of those changes merged. We've got 11 that still are in progress. We expect many of those to merge during the train cycle, and we'll be meeting with the Nova PTG to talk about those later on this week. We're also working very closely with the Edge working group. We're part of that, we're active in it, and we're implementing those features as they get defined. And I believe there's another talk that may or may not have already happened on the Edge working group features. I don't know, Greg, did you do your talk already, or? Yeah, that was this morning. Okay, so if you didn't go, you missed it, and talk to Greg. So we've done some digging into the Git repositories, and we found 10 companies that have contributed code. We've had 3,000 commits over the last year from 126 authors. Really, really, really pleased. And Obviously, we'd like more. We'd like to be, as big as the Linux kernel in the number of commits and active users, and 10,000 active developers would be a really happy problem. We're looking to hold our first TSC election. We're going to follow the standard OpenStack process. The way we wrote the governance, anyone who is a contributor to the project may run for a TSC seat. There's 5 seats that are up for election. If you are interested in the project, you'd like to have a very direct hand in influencing it, please contribute to the project and feel free to nominate yourself for a seat. You want to go ahead, or do you want me to take it?
I can cover this. Okay, so we're working on our next release, as we pointed out earlier. We have our PTG session later this week, so Thursday noon to Friday end of day, and we certainly encourage the wider community to come join us at the PTG. We already touched on the TSC elections. I'm not going to go through all these, but we have quite a number of Starling X sessions at the summit. Some of these have already occurred, but certainly there's another one tomorrow afternoon where we're going into more detail on the platform specifics. We have project onboarding tomorrow and a hands-on workshop Wednesday afternoon.
So let me talk a little bit about the workshop. So Shuchan and Curtis from our community put this together. There's 50 nodes available so Packet, who's been a huge supporter of OpenStack, is also supporting us. And so Shuchan, who's right here, and Curtis put together a hands-on, let's sit in front of the console and type commands at the system workshop for tomorrow. So if you'd like to see the software in action, that's a great opportunity for that. And thank you for putting that together. That's just awesome. So questions, comments, praise. What can we tell you about our project? Yes, sir.
Could you talk a bit more about the monitoring infrastructure?
I will yield to Mr. Rosewell on that.
Yeah, so we have monitoring at so all the way down to the hardware level. So we'll monitor for hardware failure conditions, sensors, and take the appropriate recovery action. We also monitor the health of all the host processes, and through our containerization, then the monitoring of containerized services would be done through Kubernetes.
What kind of tooling do you use?
Sorry?
What kind of tooling do you use? What kind of monitoring framework?
So at the hardware level, it's one of the Flock services, so the Starling X specific services that we provide.
Which is using IPMI, right?
That would be a component of it.
Yeah. And we use colect'd to gather logs and a number of other components. Other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any diagrams that explain all these kinds of details of how, besides this high-level diagram of each component you have any architectural diagrams?
Yeah, there should be more detailed documentation on our StarlingX.io.
Well, we're still writing it, so. We have some, I don't know if it's ready to be shown publicly yet, but it's something we're working on. Other questions? Yes, sir.
So on the Kubernetes side of things, you're deploying OpenStack services running in containers managed by Kubernetes.
Correct.
That's correct. What about Kubernetes as a workload? Are you able to deploy Kubernetes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So really think of it as the platform is cloud native, Kubernetes based. We can deploy OpenStack as a Kubernetes workload, but we can also deploy user workloads as well.
So then you can integrate Ironic, and then you can run bare metal, you can run VMs with OpenStack. So however you want to run your application, you can do that.
You have that demo
We don't have a demo of running all those at once, but I don't think it's challenging. We could work with you. Talk to us offline. Okay, we've been given the high sign. Maybe one last question. All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you.